Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Cosmic Steller Rebelers, #1 from Hammock Publications that came out in 1988. But before we get into that, I'd like to show you some of my own work. This is Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color comic book, and well, usually it is, but I've gone to black and white for the last little bit to catch up on stuff. But you can pick these up at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. And it's a rotating set of stories. And you'll see in there, you'll have Cyrene and Queller and a whole bunch of other stuff that I've produced. So you can get these at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. It's just $3 a month for the 12-page comic book that you receive. But you can also get these at alexanderturbin.com, which is my website. And this has that has all of my all of my comic work that I've done so far, pretty much. And with Mutandis and The Forlorn and Death Knights and all kinds of stuff. So basically, if you want to get any of my stuff, check out alexanderturbin.com. if you don't want to check on the Patreon. So, Cosmic Steller Rebelers. I just got this yesterday. I went to the LCS. Well, I'm not sure it's an LCS. They have old comic books, but not new ones. Does an LCS have to have new comics in order to be called an LCS? I don't know, but let me know what you guys think. So I was picking this stuff up along with a bunch of other stuff, and I remember this, of course, because this is kind of famous in the area in the comic book making space, because it came out in '88, and that's really right when the comic boom was starting, and everybody knew about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and all of these people were gearing up trying to break into the comic book field and kind of become the next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And since they came from Maine, there's actually a lot of Maine connections that they have here. So they knew a lot of comic book people, and they knew Hammock and stuff. And his name was actually Jim McNaughton is the Hammock part. So it was pretty well known, although I never got this because I didn't really like the look of it. I was never really big fan of this, and I'm not sure if this counts as Power Comics. I'm pretty sure it does, but let me know what you guys think, because I don't think it does, because it's funny, and it's got these aliens, and so does Power Comics have to be funny but not mean to be funny? I don't know. I'm not entirely sure about that. Because it is actually it does have some quirky parts to it. I don't know if I'd say funny, but certainly enough things that it's definitely quirky, and there is humor to it. So let's get into the story, and then we'll talk about the writing and the art, which this may be Jim's best thing that he's written as far as I'm concerned, and what I believe. I think this might be his most well-written comic book to date, and I've read quite a few of his things from what was it, Alpha Thirst, no, not Alpha Thirst, I can't remember, but anyway, he's got quite a few books out there, and this is just probably my favorite written of his. So it starts off, and it has these characters, and they're aliens, obviously. And it says, I'll start reading from the beginning. As the Cosmic Steller Rebelers continue their flight from the evil long arms of Narco the Notorious and his murderous horde of slave traders, they land on yet another uncharted planet in the galaxy of Ma'al. Do you like how they Ann Rule Comics, 34 Main Street, ruined this comic book? And Rule, I don't know who you are, but you're not a cool person as far as I'm concerned. Ruining a comic book like that, not cool at all. I don't know if you've seen stickers on comics. If you go to Goodwill or something like that, they'll put the price tags right on the comic book, and they also put it right over the number too, so you can't tell what number everything is if you ever buy a comic from Goodwill or someplace like that. So it says Theo, this area looks safe. I don't think they're going to look on this rock. And Basil, how could you come to that conclusion? You're just out. You just got out there. So it's this alien, and he's checking out the new planet that they landed on, and they're running away from the bad guys. So we've got that so much so far. And then they have a whole lot. There's a whole lot of dialogue in this book, and it's a lot of the aliens talking to their ship and talking to each other and their robot, their Repobot, which is half reptilian. Because I guess these guys are reptilian, half reptilian, half robot. So it's like a cyborg. And some scouts, I guess, found them. So it's not a deserted planet. So the scouts are like attacking these Cosmic Steller Rebelers. I guess the Rebelers are just like like their name says, they're rebelling against the evil overlord Narco. And so it goes into this thing about the I don't know what his name is. I can't remember his name. Basil. I love their names. I do love their names. And there's a whole lot I love about this comic book. There's some that I'm not in love with, but there's a lot that I do love about this. So we've got Basil here fighting off these scouts. Later on, you find that they're scouts from Narco's mothership or whatever, and he runs to the ship to get reinforcements or whatever. And it is quite funny because they have a lot of dialogue like, "Slow down, buddy. We have to stand our ground and fight." "Oh yeah, I'll be right back." It's that kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of humor, and it is kind of pleasant. And they actually add a few other things in the. There's like a Mikey Likes It reference to the old Mikey commercial. What was it, Special K or something like? I can't remember. Not Special K. Chex. No, not Chex. I can't remember. Anyway, there's like a few references to that kind of weird little stuff, and so the scouts are attacking, and he wants the ship to counterattack. And they had this whole thing before where the ship, or not the ship, the rebel or whatever, not the rebel, the droid. How could you come to that conclusion? You just got out there. And then he says, "Listen up, you useless Repto droid. I'm the scout and I say it's safe. Now you do your job and log the findings. Got that?" And then the Repto droid says, "Affirmative. I've received your report and I'm logging it in." So they have this like angsty relationship about each other. And so when he comes running, he wants the ship to start firing. He wants the Repto droid to start firing and get the ship going and all that stuff. And the Repto droid's like, "Well, I thought it was safe on the planet." And so it's like this sarcastic kind of thing. So then Theo, I don't know if he takes off. Not Theo. Is his name Theo? Basil. There is a Theo, I believe. Oh no, not Basil. Some of the other Cosmic Steller Rebelers come into contact with the bad guys, and they just kind of have a shootout there, and they just kind of go along and fight. It's a nice action scene, and but then they get pinned down. And so basically there's like 4 or 5 pages of them fighting the scouts and trying to get them not to go back and tell Narco about their situation and everything like that. So that's really the first part of the book, is them trying to keep the scouts away from or kill the scouts, kind of like in Return of the Jedi when Luke and Leia grab onto the speeder bikes and they have to stop the scouts from alerting the Empire. This is basically the same thing, and this was out in '88. So Return of the Jedi was 82? No, 87, 85. I can't remember. Anyway, it's basically the same thing. They basically take the speeder bike scene and they kind of rework it into this. So they do finally destroy the scout, but then it shifts to the bad guys, who are the mummels or memels or something like that. And they alert Lord Narco about what's happened. And he says that he talks about this new weapon that they have. And it's called the new stellar dimensional warp drive laser. And they're going to find the Cosmic Steller Rebelers and use the new dimensional laser, warp laser on them. And he crushes his microphone and he says, Narco, ruler of the universe. So it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very funny. It's very, I don't know if it's funny. I mean, I didn't laugh out loud, but it was a humorous time. I had a good time reading this. So it's definitely humorous. And they just kind of discuss more about what they're going to do. They have to leave because they know that Narco has been alerted of their location, and they're on this planet now, so they have to take off. And finally, they get up into space, but Narco has found them, and he's going to use his new weapon. The Cosmic Steller Rebellers don't really know what's going to happen, and they're just kind of trying to escape. And Narco starts his weapon, and it starts like a wormhole kind of thing. And but because they didn't have enough power to shoot the weapon or keep the weapon going, they had to divert some of the energy from their ship's thrusters. So when they create a wormhole, both of the ships get sucked in through the wormhole, and it's kind of like Star Trek when they do the voyage home, and they do the thing through time and stuff. It's a little bit like that because they get knocked out and then they wake up, and the Cosmic Steller Rebellers are just they're eager to find out what this new planet is because they're constantly on the run from Narco, and they're just always afraid for their lives. So they go into the forest, and as you'll notice, I'm going to bring this up now, but as you'll notice in the beginning of the book, or until this page actually, there's lots of hand drawn hatching. That's the word I'm looking for. Hand drawn hatching there's no cross hatching whatsoever. I'm not sure why some people do hatching and not cross hatching, but he did all hatching. So all of his shading and shadows and stuff like that is all done by hand with his hatching technique. And then he finds the duo shade or duotone or whatever it is. And I'm pretty sure I can never remember. Duo shade is the film, and duotone is the liquid. If I'm wrong, let me know. Anyway, he discovers duo shade. I'm going to just combine them and call them duo shade. He makes this discovery of duo shade, and so he starts using it quite a bit. And you can see as the pages progress, he's like, I'm going to slather this stuff on, and I'm just going to use it as much as I can. Duo shade and duotone are great tools to use in anything like that. But like anything, you have to have a grasp of how it works and how it's applied and when to use it, when not to use it. It's all about the light sources and, where to create a shading or a shadow, and using the different tones that it has to kind of create the depth and texture that you're looking for. He doesn't really do that, but we will get into that when we talk about the art. So they both get sucked into the gravity well or whatever. They wake up, they start exploring, and he sees the creature, and he's like tries to communicate with the creature, but obviously it's a deer. And they discuss whether or not life is viable here, while the is the atmosphere viable for them, and all of that kind of thing. And so they finally find out that yes, it is viable. So they take their helmets off and they try to contact the local intelligent life, which they decide is a deer. But then they come to the conclusion that these guys are really kind of knuckleheads, and that's part of the humor and part of the charm of the book. So they come to the conclusion that there's no intelligent life. It's all like rocks and trees, and there's no intelligent life whatsoever. And then one of them's like, look at this thing, and it's a muffler. So they're like, this is probably what that creature was supposed to keep us away from. We better hang on to it. It must be important. Maybe Theo can figure out how we can use it. Just a muffler. And These other guys, they're on their sky bikes, and they come across a couple, or actually three. It's 3 or 4 people in a van, in a cleaning crew van, and they're just like the humans are astounded that there's aliens. They're like driving, and then they crash because they're so taken back by the aliens, and then they just have this weird kind of dialogue where the I can't remember if this is where it is. Um, yeah, not yet. Is it? Are they under attack? Um, it is very concise. Like, I'm just getting lost because I can't remember exactly when things happen in what order. But they're talking about the new way of transportation and stuff. It's also very Battlestar Galactica 1980s, where they were on their sky ships and they came down to Earth stuff. So it's very kind of Battlestar Galactica 1980. But they contact the Earthlings. The Earthlings and the aliens kind of come to this agreement where they're going to help each other out, and they're not freaking out or anything. So the humans get on the sky bikes along with the aliens, and they just kind of go along, and they're going to go back to their ship, and they're trying to figure out what to do when I guess their ship is being attacked. I can't remember the panel where it shows it, but they were being attacked, and that's why they have to go back. So their ship is being attacked. The scouts have to go back to where the ship is and help them. So the humans decide to try to help them, and they hop on the sky bike, and it's, lo and behold, it's some hunters being shooting at at their spaceship, which is very kind of typical Maine-ish thing. And they even try to do a little bit of a Maine accent with look over there, what the hell is it? So I don't know, they try to do this Mainer accent, which is really kind of wonky. And but the hunters, they're not done shooting at the ship. They're oh, maybe not. Maybe they're not the ones shooting at the ship. I thought that the hunters were the ones shooting at the ship, and it wasn't Narco, but it could be. No, I think it's the hunters. But the hunters start shooting at the aliens, and there's one of the human women are with them, and the hunters think the alien is trying to attack the woman, so they shoot the alien. And this is where it gets kind of dark and grim, because one of them shoots the alien, and the other one kind of comes along, and they run away because they think they're gonna get in trouble or whatever. And there's more aliens coming, but the other aliens come back, this Cosmic Steller Rebelers, and they, I can't remember why they run off, but you're safe now, young lady. We got that sucker. Yeah, we saved you now. I bet you'd just love to give us a real nice reward. Hey guys, we finally caught up with what's happening. And so they're gonna shoot him again, but then they start running. No. Take cover. This looks like Narcos work, but it's not. It's just the hunters. Let's get out of here. This place is crawling. Oh, right. This place is crawling with its creatures. You don't have to tell me twice. So the hunters just get scared away because they think there's a lot more of them, even though there's probably only 4 or 5 of them, as far as I can tell. But this is where it gets dark, because Falk actually got shot and dies on the last page with Theo. Is it not his name? Theo. No, I can't remember his name, but I mean, they all look alike, so it's hard to tell their names apart. But he dies, Falco dies, and then they hop on into the van and they take off. So it turns from a alien incursion kind of thing to them leaving in the van with the teenagers. I don't know if they're teenagers or not, but I kind of think it might be. And then it has an advertisement for Kendar, which is a power comic. Is that, I can't remember if that's the same guys that do Lance Stanton. I don't think it does. It is. But so, and then it has here's our crew: Samson, Basil, Falk, Lark, and Theo. and then here's a little introduction to the whole thing, and a coming next issue and issue 2. There are at least 3 issues that I know of, and I can't believe they're as pricey as they are. And I got this from the dollar bin, but it's not in very good condition. It's not like near mint or anything like that. But as I said, the writing is really good. The story is very complete, and it's very understandable. The only thing, and it's not the story's problem or the art's problem. It's the letterer's problem, which is one of them. They decided to. This is this guy talking to the android or whatever, only it starts over here and here's the response, and it happens multiple times where the beginning of the word balloon is on the right and then the response is on the left. So really you don't know which way to read it, and I did have to go back and reread a few of these things because it happens again where this is the response from the android and then this is the second response from the android. So it's like backwards, and it's really hard to understand, and you do have to go back and reread it, but only because of the word balloons are in the improper place. And I think they probably figure that out as it goes, because it becomes less and less prevalent as the issue goes along. But so the story is really pretty good, and I really like the there's like little jokes. It's like I said, they have a Mikey likes it kind of thing, and they have a just these Merlins or whatever they're called. They're quirky. It so reminds me, if I was going to say what this really reminds me of, especially the characters, I would say it's a cross between Fraggle Rock and which it seems a little bit too serious to be a Fraggle Rock, but they kind of remind me of the Fraggle Rock characters and the way they are drawn and stuff with the big noses and stuff. I don't know if they're supposed to be humanoid or not. I don't think so, because I think they're lizards, but they do kind of have regular noses. But then the bad guys remind me more of a Jim Henson, which I know that Fraggle Rock was Jim Henson, but I'm talking more like a Dark Crystal. This feels more like a Dark Crystal-y kind of feel, and these creatures, or like a Starscape, not Starscape. I can't remember now. But all of the technology and stuff reminds me of the heavy duty sci-fi stuff that happened back. They probably really were influenced by the creatures like Jabba the Hutt and all of the Return of the Jedi puppetry and creatures and stuff. But like I said, it does remind me of Fraggle Rock. So the characters are they're lighthearted until the very end when one of them dies, but they're very lighthearted, and they have a lot of fun banter between them, and it's really enjoyable to read. And like I said, the story goes, it goes from, the beginning of when they're on the planet, and they're scoping out this new planet and trying to hide from the narco, the bad guy. And then the story moves it moves quickly and plausibly and concisely, and there's no real confusion whatsoever as to what happens. They're trying to escape, and then Narco really lays out his plan of trying out his new dimensional warp whatever weapon on them, and then the fact that they flee and they try to escape, and then they get caught up in the weapon, and then it's very clear that they had to use the power from their ship, and that's why they can't escape from the weapon as well. And you realize that they're going to continue to be chased onto Earth, which is where they end up. And the human characters are probably the weakest part of the whole story, because you really kind of don't know a lot of what they're saying or why they're saying it. But it's a little on the crude side, not crude as in vulgar, but just like it's hard to understand why they're saying what they're saying and when. But other than that, it's really nicely written, really concise and understandable. Didn't get lost at all. I enjoyed the hunters, the main hunters, and I really enjoyed a lot of this, a lot of the writing and a lot of the plot and a lot of the story, a lot of the dialogue. So I really did enjoy that. The art is, it's obviously very cartoonish. They're very influenced by puppetry and stuff like that. Like I said, Fraggle Rock or um, Labyrinth, or a lot of the creatures are very, very labyrinthish or dark crystalish. Yeah, especially these guys, the bad guys, look very much like the goblins in Labyrinth and stuff like that. And he's a Jim Henson character through and through. So they hit their mark. That's the thing. They hit their mark with so much of the illustration and stuff. A lot of this texture I said in the beginning or during the earlier part, this hatching is it's a lot of hatching that they don't seem to know where they're hatching or why. They don't have any kind of strong light sources or any kind of light sources at all. They're just kind of throwing shading and shadows wherever they feel kind of like they should, I guess, a little bit. I know they're trying to do a rocky terrain, but it feels just a little bit not rocky in the texture. That's the problem with the thing, is that the texture is kind of off. And then when they add on this duo shade or duotone or whatever, like I said, they kind of had to get used to it, which is not really that much of a shock when they start using it, because it is so heavily rendered with the hatching and stuff before they start using the duo shade. I do like this. I do like a lot of the rendering, a lot of the line work, and a lot of the technology, and a lot of the creatures and stuff like that. I do enjoy that. And I do like the duo shade when they start using it. And it does take 4 or 5 pages for the writer or the artist, which I never actually said who the artist was. Art by S.D. Hamilton. I'm not sure. And story by Jim McNaughton. I think it says it in the back. Maybe. Nope. No, it doesn't. So, anyway, by the time we get into the forest and the rest of the interstate and all of that stuff, he's gotten a handle on the duo shade a little bit, and he's using a little bit more backgrounds. The backgrounds here were kind of sparse, like the sky and stuff. He could have added some clouds, some weird clouds, but the landscape is very flat except for the rocks. So he kind of adds a lot of this stuff. So he is his abilities are increasing as an artist as the book goes along, and I kind of do like the duo shade and duotone. You can see he's heavily influenced by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, and they're almost trying to be like them and do their characters like them, I think, a little bit, because their characters have that stiffness to them that is a little bit from the Eastman and Laird quality and type and stuff. So I do like the art. I do like that it's goofy, and I like the creatures and stuff. The suits are a little bit much. There's a little bit too much hatching and a little bit too much shading. I know they're probably supposed to be black, so you don't have the colors to kind of mix into the blackness to make it black, but a seeable black, it's very difficult, very, 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 very difficult to draw something black. And he does get his point across that it is black and not some kind of other color. But I like the hunters. They're just kind of goofy, and just the goofiness really lends itself to the art, or the art rather lends itself to the goofiness. So it really kind of works. I do enjoy it. I did enjoy it, and I did enjoy reading it. The cover is a blue, and it is what it is. I like the little details. You can see he really put all of his effort into the little weird little it's not hatching or cross hatching. It's just weird little designs with some hatching and stuff like that. And I do like the rock here, and I like the design of that. And really, when you look at it, I think if it was closer up, if they had zoomed into this part here and gone away with that, I think design wise the cover would have been a lot better. And I kind of wish this had been white with blue outlines, but I'm just kind of nitpicking a little bit. I did enjoy it, so I'm going to give it a rating of, and would I buy more when I see him? Yes, I would. So that automatically bumps it to a 7. I like the story. This is Jim's best story as far as I can tell. And I did enjoy the art because it does lend itself to the aliens and creatures and stuff. If it was all humans or something like that, I think it might have been fallen on a little bit, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. But I'm going to give it a solid 8. You can see that they put a lot of effort into it. They put a lot of thought into the humor and into the way that they're translating the creatures and the characters and stuff. The story's not overly complicated, but it moves along in a nice pace, and it's not complicated. It's not too complicated, and it's not confusing rather. So I'm going to give it an 8. I'm probably not giving it higher than that because I just don't feel like it's over the top good quality wise as far as the art goes and the story. I'm not sure what story they could have changed differently, but the art I think they could have had a lot of different poses. A lot of his poses are basically the same, and the sizes of the characters don't vary at all. They're almost always the same size. Like, you don't have any close-ups of the characters, which you really need in this kind of, it's almost talking heads a lot of the times. And so he needed a lot of variety. Like, this is the first close-up of a character that you have, and it's the bad guy, which is pretty good. So like I said, he's probably learning as he goes along. He does have a close-up here, and some distant shots. So he's learning as he goes. And like I said, I enjoy that aspect of the book as well. So I'm giving it an 8, and I did enjoy it, and I would get more if I see him in the dollar bin or whatever like that. So, Cosmic Steller Rebelers, number 1. I think this is number 1. There's no number on it. I've looked it up, and they say that's a self-contained issue, but there's 2 more issues, so I think this is number 1. Let me know if you guys know any different. And if you're new to the channel and you're into indie comics from the 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatever, and you just like weird stuff like me, then please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell and all that fun stuff. And thanks for watching. And more than any of that other stuff is I really, truly love comments from you guys. Do you have any Cosmic Steller Rebelers? How far out of Maine did this get? Because this is a Maine-produced comic book. How far out of Maine did it get? Anybody from Texas or California have one of these comics? So let me know what you guys thought of it, and let me know what you think of the art and the duo shade and all that stuff. All the stuff that I've brought up, I'd really love your guys' opinions. And let me know. And I will see you guys next time. And thanks for watching, and keep on creating.